Hi guys, today we are going to find out what if Amazon vanished tomorrow. You roll over in bed, reach for your phone, and tap that familiar orange shopping app icon. Instead of the usual interface, you're greeted by a stark white screen with an error message. Your heart skips a beat as you frantically refresh the page, but nothing changes. You switch to your laptop, type in Amazon.com, and watch your browser struggle to load a site that simply doesn't exist anymore. The reality hits you like a digital sledgehammer. The world's largest online marketplace has completely vanished overnight. You probably won't survive the economic chaos that's about to unfold across the globe. Panic spreads through your household as you realize your weekly grocery delivery won't arrive. Your streaming shows are inaccessible, and that important package you ordered yesterday is lost in digital limbo. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment below with your location and local time. I'm curious where you are when this alternate reality unfolds. Now sit back and let's dive into today's alternate journey together. You grab your morning coffee and prepare to witness the largest corporate disappearance in human history. You step outside and immediately notice something's wrong with the familiar rhythm of your neighborhood. The usual parade of Amazon delivery vans that normally cruise your streets has vanished completely. Instead, you see confused UPS and FedEx drivers frantically checking their scanners and shaking their heads. Millions of packages sit abandoned in sorting facilities across the globe, their tracking numbers leading to digital dead ends. You watch a delivery driver pull over, climb out of his truck, and stare helplessly at his now useless route map. The sophisticated logistics network that moved 5 billion packages annually has collapsed in an instant. Your neighbor emerges from her house clutching a shipping confirmation email, desperately asking if you've seen any delivery trucks. Prime delivery promises have become meaningless. 2-day shipping is now no-day shipping for everyone. You realize that prescription medications, baby formula, and essential supplies are trapped in a transportation limbo. Delivery drivers begin abandoning their routes as their GPS systems can't locate drop-off points for non-existent orders. The Postal Service becomes overwhelmed as millions of redirected packages flood their already strained system. You witness the first signs of panic buying as people rush to secure items they can no longer order online. You witness the immediate devastation hitting millions of small business owners who built their entire livelihoods on Amazon's platform. A local entrepreneur you know frantically calls customers, trying to explain why their handmade jewelry orders have simply vanished. Third-party sellers who generated 60% of Amazon's sales revenue now face complete financial ruin overnight. You watch as panic spreads through online seller communities, their primary income source evaporating without warning. Small businesses that invested years building their Amazon presence discover their customer databases are gone forever. The dream of entrepreneurial freedom through e-commerce has become a nightmare of bankruptcy and desperation. You see desperate sellers attempting to migrate to eBay, Etsy, and other platforms, but these sites crash under the sudden influx. Inventory worth billions sits useless in Amazon warehouses that no longer exist in any meaningful way. Credit card payments for non-existent orders create a financial maze that banks struggle to unravel. You encounter a former Amazon seller at your local coffee shop, laptop open, desperately trying to rebuild their business from scratch. The gig economy workers who depended on Amazon Flex deliveries join unemployment lines alongside warehouse staff. Economic ripple effects spread as these newly unemployed sellers can no longer afford their rent, mortgages, or basic necessities. You discover the true scope of Amazon's digital empire as the internet itself begins to crumble without AWS. Netflix goes dark mid-episode, leaving millions staring at black screens during their evening binge sessions. Spotify falls silent, cutting off playlists worldwide and leaving commuters in awkward subway silence. You watch as major websites like Airbnb, Pinterest, and Reddit display error messages instead of their familiar interfaces. Corporate IT departments across the globe scramble to migrate their cloud infrastructure to Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud. The internet traffic surge crashes competing cloud services as desperate companies fight for server space. You realize that even your smart doorbell and security cameras have stopped working without AWS connectivity. Slack goes offline, severing communication channels for remote teams and bringing corporate collaboration to a halt. Your banking app refuses to load, trapping you without access to your financial accounts and payment systems. Video game servers crash worldwide, leaving millions of players disconnected from their virtual worlds and online matches. The digital backbone supporting 30% of the internet has vanished, creating the largest tech outage in history. You witness panic in corporate boardrooms as executives realize their entire digital infrastructure was built on quicksand. You join the massive migration as millions of consumers flood physical stores, overwhelming retail locations unprepared for this sudden influx. Mall parking lots that haven't been full in years now resemble Black Friday chaos every single day. You wait in line for 2 hours at Target, surrounded by confused shoppers clutching hastily scribbled shopping lists. Store shelves empty faster than employees can restock them as panic buying reaches unprecedented levels. Walmart becomes a battlefield where customers fight over the last available items they use to order casually online. You discover that many stores have reduced their physical inventory over the years, relying on Amazon for backup supply. Best Buy employees work overtime as desperate customers seek electronics they can no longer compare and purchase online. Local bookstores experience their first customer surge in decades, but their limited inventory disappoints book lovers. You witness elderly shoppers teaching younger generations how to navigate physical stores and read price tags. Grocery stores implement purchase limits as people hoard non-perishable items they previously ordered through Amazon Fresh. The concept of just browsing returns as people rediscover the tactile experience of physical shopping. You realize that an entire generation has grown up without understanding how retail worked before e-commerce dominated everything. You watch as tech giants scramble to capitalize on the massive void left by Amazon's disappearance. Microsoft's stock price soars as companies desperately migrate their cloud services to Azure overnight. Google announces emergency expansion plans for Google Cloud, hiring thousands of engineers within hours. You witness Apple hastily developing their own delivery service to compete for the abandoned e-commerce market. Facebook pivots Facebook Marketplace into overdrive, trying to capture displaced Amazon sellers and buyers. Walmart's online platform crashes repeatedly under the unprecedented traffic surge from fleeing Amazon customers. You see eBay's servers smoking as millions of sellers attempt to migrate their businesses simultaneously. Target launches an emergency same-day delivery service, poaching former Amazon logistics employees at premium wages. Shopify experiences explosive growth as desperate businesses seek any alternative to rebuild their online presence. You observe venture capitalists throwing money at any startup promising to fill Amazon's marketplace gap. The race intensifies as companies realize they're competing for a trillion-dollar market opportunity. Traditional retailers like Best Buy and Home Depot suddenly find themselves with unprecedented online leverage and bargaining power. You witness the immediate collapse of global supply chains that depended on Amazon's sophisticated logistics network. Manufacturing plants in China sit idle as their primary distribution channel to Western markets has vanished overnight. You discover that countless products were exclusively sold through Amazon, leaving consumers with no alternative purchasing options. Shipping containers pile up at ports worldwide, their contents destined for warehouses that no longer exist. Small manufacturers who relied on Amazon's fulfillment services scramble to find new distribution partners. You watch grocery stores struggle with empty shelves as Amazon Fresh and Whole Foods supply chains crumble. The just-in-time inventory model that many retailers adopted proves catastrophically fragile without Amazon's backbone. International trade grinds to a halt as businesses lose their primary platform for cross-border commerce. You observe panic in the pharmaceutical industry as prescription delivery services dependent on Amazon logistics fail. Local suppliers suddenly become invaluable as businesses desperately seek nearby alternatives to global sourcing. The concept of next-day delivery becomes a distant memory as traditional shipping reverts to week-long timelines. You realize that Amazon's disappearance has exposed how dangerously concentrated global commerce had become around a single platform. You witness the immediate chaos as 1.5 million Amazon employees worldwide suddenly find themselves without jobs. Unemployment offices are overwhelmed by the largest single-day job loss event in modern history. You encounter former warehouse workers, delivery drivers, and software engineers all competing for the same limited positions. The sudden influx of skilled tech workers floods the job market, driving down salaries across the industry. You observe entire communities built around Amazon fulfillment centers facing economic devastation overnight. Former Amazon executives become the most sought-after candidates as competitors desperately seek their expertise. Delivery drivers who invested in vehicles for Amazon Flex now face repossessing banks and worthless transportation assets. You watch as unemployment benefit systems buckle under the unprecedented strain of processing millions of claims simultaneously. The ripple effect spreads to supporting industries, Security companies, cleaning services, and food vendors all lose major contracts. Former Amazon employees form massive support groups, sharing job leads and coping strategies through social media networks. You realize that entire career paths centered around e-commerce mastery have become instantly obsolete. The employment earthquake reshapes labor markets as industries scramble to absorb this sudden workforce avalanche. You witness the immediate stagnation of technological innovation as Amazon's research and development empire crumbles overnight. Alexa devices across millions of homes become expensive paperweights, their voice recognition capabilities rendered useless. You watch as smart home ecosystems collapse without Amazon's cloud infrastructure supporting their interconnected functions. Prime Video subscribers lose access to exclusive content worth billions, including beloved original series mid-season. The artificial intelligence research that Amazon pioneered in logistics and machine learning grinds to a halt. You observe the publishing industry celebrating as Kindle's dominance over digital books suddenly vanishes. Amazon Web Services' cutting-edge tools for developers and startups disappear, slowing global software innovation. The race for autonomous delivery drones loses its primary competitor, potentially delaying this technology by years. You realize that Amazon's massive data collection on consumer behavior has created an irreplaceable knowledge void. Ring doorbells and security cameras leave millions of homes vulnerable with their monitoring networks offline. The cashier-less Amazon Go stores become monuments to abandoned retail innovation, their technology frozen in time. You witness the broader tech industry struggling to fill the innovation vacuum left by Amazon's disappearance. You find yourself adapting to a fundamentally transformed economic landscape where local businesses suddenly thrive without Amazon's overwhelming competition. Independent bookstores experience a renaissance as readers rediscover the joy of browsing physical shelves and receiving personal recommendations. You witness neighborhood grocery stores regaining customers who previously relied on Amazon Fresh for their weekly shopping needs. Local artisans and craftspeople flourish as consumers seek authentic, handmade alternatives to mass-produced Amazon merchandise. The concept of instant gratification slowly fades as society readjusts to more sustainable consumption patterns and delayed satisfaction. You observe communities becoming more self-reliant, developing local supply chains that prove more resilient than global dependencies. Small towns that lost their main streets to e-commerce begin revitalizing as foot traffic returns to local establishments. The gig economy transforms as former Amazon workers create new cooperative businesses and worker-owned delivery services. You discover that without Amazon's data-driven personalization, people make more diverse and unexpected purchasing choices. Digital monopolies seem impossible as antitrust regulators worldwide implement strict measures preventing single-platform dominance. The new economy emphasizes human connection, local expertise, and sustainable business practices over pure efficiency and speed. You realize that Amazon's disappearance, while initially catastrophic, has ultimately created space for a more diverse and resilient economic ecosystem. 6 months later, you reflect on how dramatically the world has changed since that fateful morning when Amazon vanished. The initial panic gave way to adaptation, innovation, and ultimately a more distributed approach to commerce and technology. People learned to plan purchases in advance, to support local businesses, and to value patience over instant gratification. The economy, while initially shaken, has become more resilient through diversification and reduced dependence on single points of failure. New technologies emerged from unexpected places as innovation spread beyond the confines of one dominant corporation. Communities grew stronger, supply chains became more local, and the human element returned to retail experiences. You realize that Amazon's disappearance revealed both our dangerous over-reliance on digital monopolies and our remarkable capacity for adaptation. The new world isn't necessarily better or worse. It's simply different, with trade-offs between convenience and resilience, efficiency and humanity. Perhaps the most profound change is the renewed appreciation for diversity in our economic ecosystem and the recognition that no single entity should wield such enormous influence. As you close your laptop and head to the local bookstore, you wonder, what other seemingly permanent fixtures of modern life might vanish tomorrow, and how would we adapt?